Hi everyone, and welcome to Transwest Truck Trailer RV, located in Frederick, Colorado. I'm Larry Vickers. Today we're sitting in a used 2020 M2 112. It has just 23,600 miles on it. The conversion is Summit Hauler. But before we really get in depth and take a look at the truck today, there's some information that I wanted to share with you. First, we're going to talk about is the warranties. With this being a 2020 with that low of miles, obviously there's a lot of warranty left on this particular truck. It comes with a Detroit D13 engine. Now, Detroit's warranty is 2 years, unlimited miles. The injectors are 2 years, 200,000 miles, and major components is 5 years, 500,000 miles. Now, this also has the Allison transmission in it, and their warranty is 5 years and unlimited miles. One of the most frequently asked questions that I get when people purchase a truck from me is what kind of maintenance do I need to do? Recent data is showing that they're getting 1 million miles out of these trucks as long as they're properly upkept. So a little bit of information to share with you on that for this specific truck. It all kind of depends on how you're using it. If you're working the truck really hard, and doing that kind of stuff with it, 25,000 miles is what's recommended in between services. Now, if we're taking short trips, if we're just running a couple hours and coming back and using it frequently in terms of that type of use, 30,000 miles is what's recommended for that. Now, the last option is kind of what the truck was really designed to do, and that's run coast to coast, border to border, that type of thing. So for long, extended amounts of use, you can actually go 35,000 miles in between services. So I did get with the service department and ask them, what kind of service needs to be done when it comes to that time. And they basically we have two different options, an A and a B service. Now, as you can tell by the sheets, the B is more extensive. It runs 4 hours to complete it, as opposed to the A service, which is 2 hours. And what they recommend doing is kind of alternating these. So if we do the A service this time, which isn't quite as extensive, we're going to do the B next time and really thoroughly go through the truck. I mean, they get as far as looking stuff at the outside of the vehicles, the tail lights, that sort of thing, taking their measure, like the antifreeze and how good it is chemically, that sort of thing there. So we don't need to do that every time. What we're going to do is alternate these two in between services. So that will surely upkeep your vehicle, but we don't need to go extreme to the point where we're basically wasting money and doing that every time. So that's our recommendation, is to alternate those two. And we'll get more in depth when it comes to the engine once we get outside and get to looking at things more thoroughly. But while we're in here, we'll go in and take a look at the inside of the truck, and we'll start at the top and work our way down. Right here is the backup camera. Now, you can actually hook 3 more cameras up to this, and if we do that, it divides it into quarters, so we can take a look at each camera individually. Over here is the air horn. Now, as we come on down, the gauges are pretty self-explanatory. Maybe 2 I want to touch on are the 2 right there, and that is for the air. The top one is the primary, and the bottom one is the secondary. The primary focuses solely on the brakes. That's all our brakes is what that gauge does. The one below that is basically everything else, to the air in the cabin, to the lumbar seats, all the extra air. That's what the secondary one does there. This particular truck, the previous owner put an additional fuel tank in the back, and right here is the gauge for that, and we'll take a look at that in a little bit. As we come over, there's the cruise. I'm not going to touch on each one because they're pretty self-explanatory. Windows there. This does come with an automatic transmission, so there's really nothing to be intimidated by this truck. R means reverse. For example, now we're in neutral and have the air brake set, and D is for drive. This button here is the dump valve that allows us to let air out of the back of the truck. For example, we used that when we hooked up the trailer this morning. This locks our differential right there. One thing I wanted to talk about is the engine brake, because that is a true engine brake. So when we're down, if we set it down, we're affecting 3 of the 6 cylinders. It not only restricts exhaust coming out, but fluid going in. So in the middle, that's shut off. But if we kick it up to high, now we're affecting all 6 cylinders. There's an additional option button here if we wanted to hook up, for example, a radar detector. I've seen it in trucks. Right there is where we could turn and shut that off as well. This button here is basically for the engine fan. If we find ourselves in severe traffic and need to cool the engine down, that's what we hit to do that. There's our e-brake basically, and our trailer brake is right there. As we come on down, this is the trailer brake here. This one up here is for air. This is our true trailer brake right there. This is our climate control, really self-explanatory, how high you want the fan and how hot you want it in your cab. So now let's jump outside and take a look underneath the hood. This is the Detroit D13 engine. It is an inline 6. It is 781 cubic inches. The compression ratio is 18.4 to 1. The bore, or the hole at the bottom containing the piston, is 5.2 inches. The stroke, basically how far the piston travels, is 6.15 inches. This offers 505 horsepower with 1,750 foot-pounds of torque. The weight of this specific engine is 2,487 pounds, and this engine actually holds 40 quarts of oil. And as stated previously, it is coupled with the Allison 4000 transmission. Now, a couple of things to notice underneath here as well. Where we see yellow, that's stuff you and I can check. For example, here's where we would check the oil. Up there's the antifreeze. Down here is the power steering fluid. Now, if we are underneath the truck taking a look at some things and checking it out, and a gust of wind comes up, that hood is going to stop. So the only way to get it down is to manually force it down. This truck is stock number 5U201055. The hood is a compressed fiberglass, so that makes it a lot tougher. An example of the toughness of the hood is last summer we had a hailstorm come through here, basically wiped out the pickup trucks. Well, you couldn't even tell anything happened to the Summit haulers. It comes with Michelin 275 80R 22.5 tires. One unique advantage to the Summit hauler conversion is the tire balancers located right there. The tire balancers come with several hundred BBs in them with some hydraulic oil, and as you gain speed and pick up momentum, that balances the entire rotating mass from the tire to the rim to the hub. All of that is balanced. So that does a few things for us. One, it's a more comfortable ride. Second of all, it's safer since everything is balanced. And thirdly, it extends tire life, and data is showing where it extends it up to 45%. This is the block heater. We're getting into that time of year where we're going to want to use that. As we take a look on the inside, a couple things that weren't mentioned that we can talk about here. Right here is the kill switch, and we're getting to that time of year where we're going to really want to get in the habit of shutting that off, and basically that kills any stray voltage going through the truck. This little pedal right here is actually adjust the steering wheel. When you're sitting in the driver's seat, press that. It goes up and down and telescopic as well. Now the haulers are designed to start them from the ground, so what you want to do is turn your key halfway and basically let those gauges go all the way over and all the way back before you start it. And it's not a bad thing to sit there and let everything warm up. This morning I actually ran through it twice before I fired the engine up, just to make sure everything is warmed up and ready to go. This is a trickle charger underneath here. So if we are traveling and we find ourselves in a situation at night where we want to run the DVD player or have the lights on, if we simply plug that into a regular electrical outlet, that assists the batteries. This is our DEF tank here. Recent data is showing about 350 miles per 1 gallon of DEF. It comes with two 50-gallon fuel tanks. There's one on each side. Now, as the truck's sitting like it is, that fuel's going to balance itself out. However, you're going to want to fill those tanks up independently. Take a look at the back seat. A couple of things. This angle, we can get a really nice shot of the DVD player. And this seat actually makes down into a bed just by the flip of a switch. So now we're into a bed, and I checked, and this does meet DOT requirements for a bed, and to put it back up is very simple as well. The Summit Hauler conversion offers the most storage capability of any brand on the market. As we take a look at the front storage compartment, not only will you notice how much room is in there, but you'll see a hookup for an air hose if we need one. I did mention that this truck offers an additional fuel tank. Right here is where that is. It was very intelligently put in because it's far enough up front that if we do need a fifth wheel back here, we can turn the truck without having any problems at all. The truck is all rhino lined as we come down. Another advantage to the Summit Hauler conversions is the bed is actually made of aluminum, all right? So that's not steel. So when you project the life of the truck 10, 15 years down the road, it's gonna look very similar as it does today, and there's not gonna be rust on it, unlike some of the competition. Now, I realize that the trailer isn't hooked up completely. We did that strictly for the videos to kind of give you a visual representation of what the truck was designed to do. It does come with the gooseneck ball already in it. If we do hook the lights up, that is right underneath here. I mentioned before that we could hook up to 3 more cameras to that Voyager system. Right here is where we would hook those up as well. As we come on down, right here underneath this plate is the hitch for a traditional bumper pull trailer. One thing about this truck being a used 2020 is the FET tax was already paid. So that's a huge advantage to this truck, because that's really going to save you quite a bit of money when you purchase it. The GVWR on this specific truck is 33,000 pounds. As we continue to walk this way, as you can tell, I mean, you're basically getting a new truck, guys. There isn't any scratches, no dents, anything like that, as we visually appraise the truck. A shot from the ground here. You know, a lot of people that may be in the market for this truck are looking at pickups as well. And just a couple of the advantages to purchasing something like this over a pickup is obviously the space, and you can witness that by taking a look at the back seat as we're doing now, which makes it for a lot more comfortable ride as we're going up and down the road. But safety is the main advantage we have over the pickups. One advantage of that is simply the size of the vehicle. So if we're getting in a wreck with this, compare that to a pickup, your probability of walking away from this is extremely higher than a pickup. Another advantage to this is how high we are off the ground. So we can see potential hazards coming at us from the front as well as the sides. Another advantage to this over a pickup is the braking system. This has air brakes in it compared to hydraulics in a pickup. Well, if we get a leak in a air brake system, there's an unlimited supply of air, so we can keep feeding that air through. Well, let's compare that to a hydraulic. Even in a minor leak, that is eventually going to leak out, so when you go to hit the brakes, it's going to be a lot softer, and eventually there's not going to be anything there at all. So that's a comparison there of minor leaks compared to the two. So a very nice and unique truck that we have on the market today. If you have any other questions about it or anything on the lot, please feel free to give me a call. 970-370-4067 is the cell. The work line, 303-684-3404. Feel free to email me, larry.vickers@transwest.com. Thanks for tuning in today.